What's up, everybody? It's your favorite double cross no good swindler's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Zeta Toys Racket, which is their take on Swindle, the fourth of the set. I got this from GCI Toys. The link is in the description. They've always been good to me, and I'm sure they'll be good to you. That being said, this guy does have a fair amount of accessories. Let's go ahead and get started. He comes with this long blaster. No paint that I can see. Maybe it looks like a different color plastic there, and it's like a rubber or something. And it's like, it's barely on. I don't understand. Maybe I will by the end of this review, but as of right now, I do not. It hinges here, and then it has two ports where you can put the rockets on both sides. The rockets themselves are also single cast, and no moving pieces, or it doesn't appear to be any paint either. So you can have it like this. He won't really hold it because it's not long enough to go into his hand and then sit on top of his forearm. It will, however, peg into the side of his arm, and you can remove the rockets and peg them into the side of the arm as well. It's a bit of a tight fit though, be warned. You can also peg the gun in to the top here, I would imagine, but once again, the tolerance is a little off, and it doesn't, I don't know, it's a little too much to one side to kind of give you that over-the-shoulder look. It's always gonna be kind of at an angle. And I'm just guessing, I can't get mine to go in. I'm just guessing that's the case. He also comes with a blaster. No love in the paint department here. It's sculpted well enough. And that one he will hold with no problem. And of course you can plug all the weaponry into the top of the vehicle on the corresponding ports, and that looks pretty cool. And then he has two antennas and two windshield wipers, mainly to be used in alt mode. They're supposed to plug in on the back here on these little pegs, but I, for the life of me, can't get them to go on, so I'd have to lube them up to get it to work, so to speak. The windshield wipers plug into the front here. I haven't had any issue with that. This guy also has a bit of an interesting gimmick, so you can have this look, which we're kind of all familiar with, or you can take this out, spin it around. You gotta get out of the way of the crotch piece here. And then put it back, and you can have the kind of windshield chest. And then you can do the same with the pelvis piece and have that look. So that is cool. That's a cool way of doing it. Another gimmick is once it's in truck mode, you can actually lift up the hood and see a little bit of the bits underneath, which is, I guess, you know, that's fine. It's something that's happening more and more these days with Transformer toys. I'm not as much of a sucker for it, but it is a thing. So let's talk about the figure. The head is on a ball peg. It's a cool head sculpt too. Nice, like, emotional expression. Like, you know, very animated. You know, a lot of exaggerated emoting going on. We have a gray face. We have purple eyes, and then we have the black head, so to speak. It goes down like that. It goes up to there, and you get the sideways and a little bit of attitude as well. The shoulders are a bit crazy, but I think what you're only supposed to really use, you can undo this and kind of cheat if you want, but what you're only supposed to use is this hinge here and then a hinge at the shoulder, both of which allow you to get the arm out to the side, and the swivel allows you to move all the way around within reason, of course. There's a ton of stuff, you know, they're not the prettiest bots. I will say that this is probably their best one, like their cleanest one. But, you know, it's still a far cry from what you, I think, would want in bot mode. Bicep swivel. Technically, it's a double jointed elbow. It's just that one's at the bicep and then one's at the elbow, but it still allows you to get 90 degrees. Wrist swivel. Fingers are individually articulated on a base pen knuckle, and he does have typewriter fingers. As a heads up. Not a whole lot of paint accents here. You do get a little bit there, it seems, but that's about it. And we'll move on to the waist. Waist swivel, no problems, and you get a little bit of sassy bot, little teapot. And for the hips, you have, well, you got some nice paint in there, and then you have the translucent with some silver paint there. We got blue paint on that side, and then the blue paint on this side as well. For the hips, they got universals. They're ratcheted. They're a little bit wider of a tooth than you would probably prefer, but you can get the full Van Damme and the full Monty, no problem. Thigh swivel around the universal joint. It's not a full swivel, but I think it'll get you more than you ever really want. And then there's actually a double jointed knee. One hinges in here and then one hinges out at the proper knee, but that'll get you more than a full bend, or just about a complete bend. And then the feet are a little crazy as well. We do have some nice yellow paint. Probably could have used a second coat, but yellow's a hard color to do, especially over black, so I say let's give it a pass. We have ankles. They tilt down a taste. They tilt up a good bit, but you kind of lose the aesthetic. And then they also rock. There is a problem with him kind of keeping balance with these feet because most of the feet are in the front of the bot. However, you can move these down and cheat a little bit and get some kind of, heel spur to help you situate him. So I think ultimately it's okay. It'll do the trick. And then the back cleans up fairly well. I've got a nice tie rod here. Check me out. Check me out with my lingo to control the turn. So that's cool. Let's transform him. Take this out, spin it around. There is a little bit of it's not the easiest clearance in the world, but this does come out to allow for a bit more. But just go ahead and do that. Tuck the head in and then put that back into place. Open up these shoulder pieces, get them out of the way for now. Open up this piece, get that out of the way. Open up this flap here, tuck the hand in, close that flap up, and push this down. One more time. Open this, open this, open this, open this, open this, open this, close the hand in, collapse down. Take both armatures that we talked about for articulation and extend them. And then you can rotate this entire piece up and plug it in. Bring the foot up, which brings up this piece, flip that forward, flip this part down, collapse in. Same for the other side, foot up, bring this up, collapse back down into place. Underneath, open up this piece here, and then rotate the leg at the proper joint so that you can clear that space. And on the bottom, put this down and then bend here, and then take this piece and bend over and it'll tab back in. So we'll show that again. We're gonna open up this piece here. We're gonna bend at the bottom knee joint to allow all of that to slide underneath. On the back side, we're gonna take our strip here, down and down, and then we're gonna take this piece and clip it in right there. And that can be a little tricky. It has to line up with this section. Then you can tab both sides together. Then you want to manipulate the armatures here so that it's hard to describe, but it's fairly intuitive. But you basically want to swivel here and swivel here so that this armature forms an L, and then this plugs in to the back there. And you want to do the same thing for the other side and plug them in to the center. There it is, all cleaned up. When you get it to this point, you can take this actually comes out a bit on a slider, spin it around, place that back into place underneath your windows. You can do the same for this side. And then when you get to these pieces, these front pieces, you want to make sure that these tabs line up with those notches. And that gets a little tricky, but we'll try. Yeah, it's just a little hard to line it all up without the front part coming apart. It's the only thing I've found really frustrating about the transformation process thus far. Underneath, you can take these strips here and plug them in, and that will cover down on the bottom. So there it is, and there is a comparison with Tiger Track. So he's a big fella, rolls like a champ. I think it looks good, could definitely use more paint, but we haven't really been expecting a whole lot in the paint department from this set. I will say one issue is getting this front end to kind of stay together. Like, especially if you're going to put in like the weapons and stuff, like you tend to push this and it causes this connection here to fail, at least on mine. But so that's a bit of a bummer, but otherwise I think it looks pretty good. I like the detail work in the grill. I like where they have applied paint. It got a little outside the lines there. Could have definitely 100% used more of it, but that's definitely the most frustrating bit, not the paint. To get it into combine mode, we undo this. You should find that it undoes itself very easily. And you can remove the windshield wipers as well, because I don't think they lay quite right. Same for the other side. And these pieces flip back on top. Untab this and tuck it back. Then you got to get these leg connectors out, and unfortunately that means undoing a lot of what you've done. So we'll open these up, and we'll open these up. split the legs, get these connector tabs out, which are a little tricky, but not impossible. And these out as well. There's one here and then one on the inside. And then you just put your flaps back down. Make sure your flaps meet back here at a 90-degree angle. That'll help these pieces stay in place. Tab that back together and then clean up your upper part. And this thing feels like a brick. This is why I'm buying this set. I'm buying this set specifically for combine mode. I'm not crazy about the other modes, but I have a good feeling about combine mode after the strength of their Devastator from Toy World. So, and this does not disappoint. This feels exactly how I want it to feel. Size comparison wise, we're going to show it with the only thing that matters, which is combine mode next to Unique Toys Swindle, almost as big as in Robot, and about the size of a Masterpiece standing up, and that's not including the foot. Great googa mooga, that's a thing of beauty. So let's go through the negatives. Negatives are the bot mode is clunky and junky. It is cleaner than a lot of the other ones we've seen from Zeta from their Combaticon set, but it's still clunky and junky. A lot of the plastic feels light, but that's not a big deal for me if once it's solidified it feels solid, which this does. They didn't give you a whole lot of paint love either, but I think there is enough to at least make it look visually interesting. The feet are also an issue in robot mode, but with a little bit of posing and or using that makeshift heel spur, you shouldn't have a problem. My biggest complaint is definitely the front end staying together in truck mode. Mine, for whatever reason, just with the slightest bit of pressure, just totally collapses. And I think it's supposed to have some sort of suspension system. I'm sure actually that I've seen something about that, but I can't really show it off here because every time I put it in truck mode and I press on the top of it, it collapses. Doesn't mean I'm not super excited about the rest of their releases though, because in fact, you should see how they're displayed in my house impatiently waiting for onslaught. I mean, that's legit, right? The positives all come down to this beauty right here. And this is the fourth one in the set that feels 100% solid in limb mode. I can't wait to get this thing connected. I do have a couple of concerns, but I think it's gonna be all right. I think there's gonna be stuff that latches into the side of here and then plugs in here and here. And then the bottom, I'm not sure how that's gonna sort out either. So I do have some concerns, but all of the individual pieces so far are beefy, chunky, solid, secure, and definitely inspire hope in the combined form. So if you're in for this for the combined mode, I can still recommend it. I definitely wouldn't recommend it if you wanted to do all three successfully. However, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the Unique Toys arms. I still haven't made my mind up about it because I don't like the way they look in robot mode, and I might just do MMC, Vortex, and Blast Off, and then keep the Unique Toys ones because ultimately in the end, it'll work out fine. But I haven't made my mind up about that yet, but I have made my mind up about this, and that is, I'm really looking forward to combine mode. I got a good feeling about this. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.